Before the owner wakes, the yacht is already spending money, quietly, relentlessly, with every cable, crew member, and meter of dock. From shore, a superyacht looks weightless. Up close, it is a private hotel, power station, workplace, and liability. The first shock is not the purchase price. It is discovering that ownership begins again every morning. Salt air is beautiful in photographs. On machinery, paint, electronics, and teak, it becomes a patient form of damage. Industry advisors often budget annual running costs near 10 to 15% of a yacht's value, depending on size and use. A short passage from Monaco to Sardinia can feel effortless to guests. For the captain, it begins as risk management. What owners often buy is not speed or marble. They buy a version of life where friction is removed. On a large yacht, crew are not decoration. They are the operating system, and payroll becomes the most human cost. A yacht chef cooks without excuses. Distance from shore does not lower expectations, it only raises the cost of meeting them. The guest sees lunch arrive. The owner sees invoices for delivery, storage, customs, waste handling, and another van tomorrow. Fuel is the clearest reminder that a superyacht is not floating real estate. It is a machine with an appetite. The Mediterranean rewards slow travel, but even slow travel burns fuel, hours, crew time, and maintenance life. At anchor, the meter does not stop. Generators, air conditioning, water meters, and crew watches keep the illusion alive. The engine room is where glamour becomes maintenance schedules, spare parts, oil analysis, alarms, and engineers who rarely appear in photographs. On land, a broken part is an inconvenience. At sea in August, it can become a charter ruined by a tiny seal. The Mediterranean did not invent wealth. It taught wealth how to be seen from the water. Long before today's floating palaces, the Riviera made leisure a performance, private enough to exclude, public enough to admire. In Monaco, the berth can matter almost as much as the boat. Location turns mooring into social geography. The sea is wide, the prestigious dock is not. Summer turns every meter of quay into negotiation. High-season Mediterranean berths can cost thousands per day, especially in coveted ports, where visibility itself carries value. A yacht budget is a confession. It shows how much money is required to make effort disappear. Fresh towels are never just towels. They are water, power, detergent, storage, crew hours, and standards that cannot slip. The toys are part of the fantasy. Their servicing, storage, batteries, insurance, and launch procedures belong to the infrastructure. Sometimes the yacht cannot simply dock. Shore becomes a tender ride, a weather decision, and another layer of choreography. Weather is free. The decisions it forces are not. A delayed passage can ripple through every reservation and payroll hour. The quiet cabin is not quiet by accident. Stabilizers, insulation, climate systems, and crew routines are all working beneath the calm. Beneath the waterline, elegance becomes friction, corrosion, marine growth, and inspections that guests will never notice unless they fail. Insurance is the price of admitting that beauty can still collide, burn, injure, leak, or be detained. A yacht suggests escape. In practice, it moves through flags, taxes, immigration, customs, harbor rules, and paperwork. Privacy is part of the appeal, but in famous ports, being privately seen is often the point. A flawless hull is not a finish. It is labor, chemistry, controlled air, inspection lights, and patience billed by specialists. On land, interiors age slowly. At sea, vibration, humidity, salt, and sunlight test taste every day. Teak gives a yacht its warmth. It also records every careless shoe, spilled drink, salt crystal, and season. Charter can soften the bill, but it turns private pleasure into a schedule, a product, and another source of wear. Income leaves footprints. Cushions, carpets, tenders, glassware, engines, and crew all absorb the difference between use and display. The most luxurious itinerary is often the least spontaneous one. Every perfect day has been negotiated in advance. A yacht promises freedom from crowds. Then it creates a private crowd of crew, suppliers, tenders, agents, and rules. For guests, the yacht is escape. For crew, it is home, workplace, hierarchy, pressure, and months away from shore life. Even dinner ashore has a logistics chain. Tender driver, night navigation, safety gear, docking, timing, and someone waiting awake. Luxury produces waste quietly. Ports still require disposal, sorting, holding tanks, paperwork, and fees that never appear in vacation photographs. Behind every polished deck is a warehouse aisle, a purchase order, a delivery slot, and someone who knows the exact part. Range is romantic in brochures. In practice, it is consumption, reserve margins, generator load, weather, and where fuel is available. The owner may leave the boat. The boat does not leave the owner's calendar, bank account, or conscience. The same sea carries work and leisure. One boat earns its day, another spends a fortune to slow time. Stillness at sea is purchased. Stabilizers turn movement into comfort, and comfort into another maintenance contract. In each port, an agent turns arrival into permission. Without them, privilege meets bureaucracy at walking speed. The yacht must look untouched by the world, even though the world touches it every minute. Silence is managed. Radios, checklists, watches, and hierarchy keep the guests from hearing the machine behind the service. Docking is a public exam. A perfect arrival looks boring because every dangerous detail was handled before it became visible. For all its technology, the final act of arrival still depends on rope, judgment, and human timing. The purser translates beauty into numbers: flowers, fuel, visas, linen, tips, taxis, spare parts, and another port fee. Ashore, space can be wasted. On a yacht, every square meter carries weight, cost, function, and compromise. This is why owners endure the numbers. A private edge of the sea, timed perfectly, held open for them. Pleasure leaves salt behind. By sunrise, the crew is already removing yesterday, so today can feel untouched. Sooner or later, every yacht enters refit. Taste changes, systems age, regulations move, and perfection asks to be renewed. Refit is the moment luxury admits it is temporary. The yacht is taken apart, so it can keep pretending otherwise. Safety equipment rarely appears in lifestyle photographs, yet certificates, inspections, drills, and replacements help decide whether the yacht can sail. A yacht sells comfort, but it must train for fire, injury, machinery failure, and the sea's indifference. Distance changes medicine. A minor problem ashore can become a decision about tenders, helicopters, ports, and time. While guests sleep, someone remains awake with the radar, the engines, the weather, and the responsibility. The smaller the island, the more visible the yacht becomes, and the more dependent it is on local limits. The most graceful arrival is often the most rehearsed. Courtesy hides the physics of waves, stone, and balance. Privacy is not a mood. It is gates, lists, cameras, crew discretion, cybersecurity, and people paid to notice small changes. Modern owners do not leave the world behind. They bring bandwidth, encrypted calls, streaming, business, and all its monthly costs. For large yachts, ownership often passes through advisors, companies, flags, and tax rules before it ever reaches the sea. The sea may look borderless, but paperwork travels with the vessel. A dinner table at sea is theater with constraints: storage, timing, movement, temperature, service, and a kitchen that cannot pause. The Mediterranean has moods. A single windy night can add cleaning, inspections, schedule changes, and repair notes. Anchoring looks simple from a drone. Responsible captains think about depth, swing room, weather, neighbors, and the seabed below. Even leaving paradise has a procedure. The anchor returns with mud, strain, and another inspection point. During peak events, the yacht becomes more than transport. It becomes a room in the city's most visible corridor. By morning, status becomes housekeeping. The night's social power is rinsed from teak before breakfast. Out of the water, the yacht loses its romance. It becomes systems, surfaces, deadlines, and skilled hours. Hiring crew is not staffing a vacation. It is choosing who will live inside the owner's privacy and protect it. Crew professionalism has paperwork behind it. Certificates, medical checks, visas, training, references, rotations, and renewal dates. A tender is not an accessory. It is another boat with its own fuel, servicing, storage, and consequences. Even leisure has software now. When a screen fails at sea, someone must make technology feel invisible again. Mediterranean sun sells the dream. It also bleaches fabrics, heats metal, drains ice, and punishes anything neglected. Perhaps the real purchase is not the yacht. It is control over a fragile hour of light and water. When summer ends, ownership does not. The yacht simply changes from hospitality machine to maintenance project. Some yachts follow seasons. Moving them is not romance alone. It is fuel, routing, crew time, weather, and strategy. The least photographed months may be the most revealing. An idle yacht still needs power, watchkeeping, insurance, and care. Even stillness must be managed. Moisture, batteries, pumps, seals, fabrics, and electronics do not pause politely for winter. At resale, memories matter less than condition, records, refit history, build quality, and what the next owner fears spending. A yacht must perform twice, once on the water, and again in the images that prove its desirability. Owning the view does not mean owning the water. Waste, fuel, noise, and anchoring now carry scrutiny. The old fantasy was limitless cruising. The modern Mediterranean increasingly asks where, how, and whether a yacht should anchor. The best engineering stories are the ones guests never hear, because a problem was found before it became an experience. The captain carries a strange burden, protecting the owner's pleasure while constantly thinking about everything that could interrupt it. The owner pays for moments that vanish quickly. One dinner, one swim, one evening people remember as effortless. At night, the yacht seems asleep. In truth, it is only quieter about the money it continues to burn. Multiply one yacht by an entire coastline, and luxury becomes an industry of invisible labor and constant motion. For some owners, the yacht is not about being seen. It is about controlling when the world disappears. The real cost is not a single total. It is a relationship between desire, machinery, people, weather, and time. Once you understand the machinery beneath it, the silence feels different. Less like escape, more like something maintained. Tomorrow before sunrise, the same choreography begins again. Ownership is not possession. It is repetition at scale. The yacht may dominate the harbor for an evening. The sea, older and indifferent, lends it the stage. The dream floats beautifully. But what really keeps it above water is not wealth alone. It is everything wealth must keep paying for.